Yay. Hashtag ally. I feel like we do give that vibe low-key.
Why do we give that vibe low-key a little bit? Welcome back to our channel.
Welcome back.
My name is Celeste.
My name is Kathy.
Today, Kathy's going to be telling us a story. And I don't know what it's about, but she did mention futurism. So I wore my alien earrings. Maybe you should put on your alien earrings and buckle in your UFO and go on a ride with us.
That was cute. So today I'm going to be talking about transhumanism, basically the future of us with technology.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
I'm excited. It's fun. I went down a rabbit hole. It was like basically opening up Pandora's box, and it's been so hard not talking about it for like the last few bits, you know?
Oh my gosh, I bet.
Yeah, it's like special interest. That's so fun.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Okay, so basically transhumanism is like the idea that we can be, like, we already have these really cool human abilities. What if we took them up a step further with technology, you know, enhanced it?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly like cyberpunk. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's crazy because every aspect of our lives is ruled by technology, like the way we communicate, the way we, we get around, the way we seek information. And so transhumanism does a couple things. It like looks at current trends to see like how future technology will develop and affect us. And they also take a look and see how we can use it to make like beneficial societal change, you know?
Yeah.
A topic of transhuman research is how to protect us from like nuclear war and also like asteroid collision. And cyborg anthropology basically studies that. So it's like,
Wow.
yeah, it's so cool. And cyborg anthropology is basically like, so you know how anthropology is the study of humans.
Yeah.
Cyborg anthropology, it's basically that, studying transhumanism and how technology has shaped us and what the possibilities could be with technology for the better. While also looking at the risks.
Oh my gosh.
And the ethics.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I was a little off with aliens.
No, because it's like...
Because they might live amongst us.
I feel like it's perfectly connected because some of the technology and the way that technology is moving forward, it feels alien.
Yeah.
It really, really does, you know?
That's true.
Yeah, so it was on brand. Yeah. Oh, my hair clips, that's right. So first, I want to talk about biohacking. There is like there's a pretty big umbrella of biohackers. Like, biohackers, their whole thing is like enhancing your biology, basically, you know? So the parts of biohacking that I'm gonna focus on is like implants, like technological implants into the body. But the term biohacking, it's a pretty broad umbrella. Like, if you Google it, it'll come up with people that are talking about like how to enhance yourself naturally. So it's like cold baths, ice baths, meditation, things that are natural, supplements, you know? And it's crazy because a lot of people take it a step further. There's this one where they have a convention. I think this year is going to be like the 10th one. It's a biohacking convention. And the tickets are $1,000 and $4,000 for VIP tickets. And it's not that much more. And the slogan is like, you want to live till 180? Like, we'll tell you the secret, basically, or some crazy stuff like that. And there's another, like, I found another one just like that was like promising the secret to life with biohacking for only $599. Like, come on, be real with me for a second.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. Like, if anybody is saying like, hey, I have the secret to the universe for only this huge amount of money, they're probably lying.
Yeah, they're probably lying.
Oh, it's so frustrating. It's frustrating because of the vulnerable, like, people that fall for it, you know?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
The people they prey on, it's very specific, and I don't like it.
Ew.
But yeah, the biohacking I'm going to be focusing on is, like, technology. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild because in cyberpunk they literally like have that. Like they have places you can go and have like implants and stuff.
Ooh, that's so cool.
That's wild.
Oh my god. The first guy I want to talk about his name is Professor Kevin Warwick. Just Kevin Warwick. But,
okay.
That's him. This is him in 1998. That's when he got his first implant.
Whoa.
It was the size of a dime. It was an RFID chip, radio frequency identification, which is like the same thing that they use like in passports or, when you pay with your debit card. He got it implanted into his arm. And so at the university where he worked, he was able to like turn on the lights with his arm and open doors and stuff. And at this time, it was revolutionary. Nobody had ever done this before. People had like pacemakers and stuff, but nobody had an implant done for the purpose of like exploration, like a fun, like purely for scientific purposes.
Wow, that's wild.
I know. And so so I found an article with Warwick from 2013 or 2023 from last year, and he's 69 now. So 70 now, 69 then.
Wow.
Yeah, and he looks back at the experiment as quite cool and good fun. He said, at the time, nobody had done anything like that. That was pushing the technology. People obviously had implants for pacemakers and things like that. To do it as an enhancement in some way was the different thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And the chip was only in his arm for like a couple weeks before he took it out. But it raised the ethical question of things like, should we implant children? Or stuff like that. And people were thinking. And he says the main thing was that opened up all sorts of other possibilities and opened up people's mind philosophically what the possibilities could be, he said. And then in March 2002, he got his second implant. And it was called BrainGate. And it was hooked up to his nervous system. Yeah, dude. It was crazy. It linked his nervous system to a computer, so it let him control a robot hand via the internet with his hot thoughts.
What?
Yeah. And that same year, his wife Irene also got that same implant. And listen to this, it's so crazy because when she closed her, he says, because we were electronically connected, nervous system to nervous system, when she closed her hand, my brain received a pulse. It was a very basic form of telegraphic communication. This was in 2002. Yeah, so they've come more far. Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
That's crazy, huh?
That's insane.
Yeah. It's so cool because like that was kind of like a precursor to Elon Musk's Neuralink. If you have you heard of that? Mm-mm. Where he's trying to do like the same thing, like do a chip implant. I believe also into the nervous system to be able to connect it to a computer or your phone to
to manage it. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Warwick was interested in finding cures for neurological ailments that have taken away functional connections. So he wanted to help people walk again. Basically, that was like his niche.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Elon Musk.
Yeah. It was like super pushing boundaries at the time. Like the whole thing is still pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
There are a lot of biohackers that are not doing it safely, that are either implanting it themselves or like just are not being safe about it.
Oh my God.
And so the interviewer asks the most like out of pocket question. He says, as the original biohacker, do you feel partly responsible for spawning such a subculture? And he was like, it worries me when I hear what people are doing. They do take an awful lot of risks as they don't bother much with the possibilities of infection. But I don't know if I feel responsible. I was doing it as a scientific experiment.
Oh.
Yeah, and now he's much more interested in brain-to-brain communication.
Whoa.
And in the future, he was saying that pulses on the brain, it's gonna feel as if the way that he thinks it's gonna happen is that like it's like brain to brain. So when I'm communicating to your brain, you'll feel like a little electrical pulse, and you'll be able to like hear my thought. Or just like know it. I don't know.
Whoa.
He says, although he's not sure exactly how the technology could look, he can vouch for what it feels like. And he thinks that somehow it could replace the cell phone. He says, if you touch your finger, it's not painful, but your brain understands that your finger is being touched. So it's a bit like that. Like something is touching, but it wasn't actually touching. It was just putting an electrical pulse into my nervous system, so my brain learned to recognize that. And when you look at what a brain cell does, it just communicates. It sends signals from one place to another. Kids nowadays love new forms of communication. So I really believe if our brains are allowed to communicate directly, they will go for it.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so cool.
And he was a professor for a good while, and he had his class insert magnets into them. He had to get permission for this, but he had his students insert a magnet into their bodies so they could feel, so they could pick up stuff with their finger, and also they could feel like electromagnetic waves. So that was technology changing their human experience.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
Amazing.
And then another cool biohacker is Neil Harbison from Spain, who had an antenna implanted into his head so that he could hear colors as different musical frequencies. Here's a picture of him. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's wild.
I know. That is insane, huh?
Did he... I have so many questions.
I know. I only wrote one sentence down about him.
I wonder if you left it in there.
Yeah, it's
Forever?
permanent. I'm like, how do you sleep?
I mean, how do you sleep? Like,
I have so many questions.
oh my god.
And no answers. And then there's another biohacker. Her name is Amy Dansby, and she's so cool. She's covered in tattoos. At the time, she had like bright baby blue hair. Like, oh, she's so fine. So her. Where was I going with this? She is also a biohacker, and she's really cool. She has one in her hand that is like her card, so she can go places and just scan her hand and just pay. And she has another one. You know how they have those touch screens for, or not like those touch pads for locks? She got that and implanted it into her arm, and so she's able to just swipe her arm and go into her house. And then this one is a step further, the one she got after that. So she bought a Tesla, and when you get a Tesla, the car key is like a card, you know? And so she took out the chip, she put it in a silicone container, and she had it professionally implanted into her arm. So now she can start her car with her arm. And it makes people really angry. Like, she gets so many death threats. She gets people like ripping out pages from the Bible and mailing it to her. She has people being like, oh, well, I can just cut your arm and then steal your card. And she's like, you're gonna just admit to manslaughter and like homicide. Like, it's crazy. People say the craziest stuff to her, and like, yeah, it's crazy. And you know, that's something that I was thinking of. A lot of this, like, a common theme in a lot of the stories that I tell is people are so like angry and
women.
Like religious. Yeah, like throw religion at women so intensely. You know, like like we saw that with the Fox sisters. We saw that with the Bell Witch.
Yep.
We saw that now, I'm sure.
We saw that with the Demon House.
Sure did. So,
yeah.
And there's a pretty prominent biohacker community, and people get wearables for a variety of different reasons, and the boundaries are constantly being pushed. Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, I bet it's like the boundaries are constantly being pushed, and in a lot of ways it's amazing, and in a lot of ways it's like scary and harmful, because that's how it was in the game. There were people, yeah, I keep bringing that up, but like,
no, because it's exactly what it is. And I was like, Celeste's gonna love this because Cyberpunk is one of her favorite games, like, so I knew that she would.
I'm so obsessed.
I know. And Al Jazeera, they
my
interviewed a guy with a camera in his eye.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the interviewer was like, can you tell me why you decided to put a camera in your eye? And the guy said, I should have written his name down, I'm sorry guys, but if you go and look up Al Jazeera, you can find this interview. So he says, I had an accident with a shotgun when I was 9. By the time I turned 30, the doctor said, you should remove your eye. But by that time, I had become a filmmaker, and I just thought, why don't I call some engineers and see if I could put a camera in there? And then he says, I know a lot of people who've added technology to their bodies, and for many people, it's because they lost a part of their body. I think in general, the main way technology will join the body is stuff like this, like your phone, but a phone is a powerful computer, and it just keeps coming closer to the body. There's a whole idea that you can become more than human. I'm a guy who lost his eye, and I wanted a cool eye camera. That's where I'm coming from. But before, I felt like just a guy who lost his eye. Now, I have an eye camera. I feel a bit cooler, I feel nicer, I feel better.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. Some people think that there's going to be a point we come to where everybody's chipped, and like they might not have the same chip. Like maybe somebody has a chip that's like a glucose reader or like a cognitive implant or whatever, you know, but it's going to be to the point where we just put it in our bodies and it becomes part of who we are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I definitely see that.
Yeah. Isn't that so crazy to think about?
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, so for those who don't know, cyborg is short for cybernetic organism, and it's a person whose physical abilities are extended beyond normal human limitations by adding mechanical, parts. And in science fiction, the most stereotypical cyborg is like a person with visibly added mechanical parts. So there's like superheroes, comic books,
Yeah.
And more human-appearing cyborgs may cover up the mechanical parts, like Darth Vader.
Oh, yep.
And cyberpunk stories have become seen as fictional forecasts to the evolution of the internet. We have Western media, of course, with movies like Blade Runner and Celeste's favorite, cyberpunk. And in Japan, cyberpunk's influence is widespread.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And Japanese cyberpunk has roots in the Japanese punk scene from the 1970s.
Oh my god.
Which I thought was really, really cool. And this is just a snippet of Japanese punk from the 70s, and it's so so good, and I just wanted to give you a little piece.
Oh my god, I've heard this. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, and obviously cyberpunk themes are found all over, like manga and anime and a bunch of other art forms.
Yeah.
Japanese. William Gibson is an author who influenced the early cyberpunk movement, and he said, modern Japan simply was cyberpunk. The Japanese themselves knew it and delighted in it. I remember my first glimpse of Shibuya when one of the young Tokyo journalists who had taken me there, his face drenched with the light of 1,000 media suns, all that towering animated crawl of commercial information, said, you see, it is Blade Runner town. And so it was. It so evidently was.
Oh.
Here's some pictures.
That makes me want to go there so bad.
I know.
Wow. Shibuya. And in regards to cyborgs, some people think that we already are cyborgs because like humans already are so intertwined with technology, like our daily life, our sense of self, you know, like, yeah.
And people have machinated body parts, you know, like pacemakers, insulin pumps, artificial limbs, artificial joints. Mechanical. And Donna Haraway, she wrote an essay called A Cyborg Manifesto. In it, she says that because of how much humans already interact and rely on technology, humanity and technology have become too interwoven to draw the line between them. She believes that since we have allowed and created machines and technology to be so advanced, there should be no reason to fear what we have created, and cyborgs should be embraced because they are now part of human identities.
Wow.
Isn't that such a crazy concept to think about?
Yeah.
She suggests that technology like virtual avatars, artificial insemination, sexual reassignment surgery, and artificial intelligence might make dichotomies of sex and gender irrelevant, even non-existent. She goes on to say that other human distinctions like life and death, human and machine, virtual and real, may similarly disappear in the wake of a cyborg.
Whoa.
Oh, and she's super cool. I listened to her. She was on a podcast in like 2019, and she was talking about all these incredible things like merging scientific knowledge with indigenous knowledge to save the world.
Whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah, isn't that so beautiful?
I love that.
She was talking about land back. She was talking about how the setting of plantations paved the road to today's racist capitalism.
Whoa.
And I was like, whoa. Yeah, and she talked about like community and the exploitation of farm workers. Like, for example, in California, a lot of the farm workers and the locals don't have access to clean water, but the crops get clean water because the fruits are redistributed to rich people. And so like, yeah, so her whole thing is so like that was a extremely shortened thing of her whole thing. Like she goes so much into things, but basically that's what I gathered from it. Like just the importance of taking care of the oppressed, decentering white capitalism and stuff. And you guys should look into it because it's so like cool.
Wow, that's
yeah,
incredible.
Yeah.
And her name is Donna Lewis?
Her name is Donna Haraway.
Oh, Haraway. Okay. Wow, that's awesome.
I know, so cool, right?
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit more about transhumanism. There's this guy, he's a philosopher, David DeGrazia, and he wrote a paper called Prozac Enhancement and Self-Creation, where he talks about this woman named Marina. Marina does not have a mental illness, but she heard that Prozac can make people more happy and more confident, even if they don't have a mental illness. And she wants...
What?
Yeah. And she wants to take the antidepressant because she has poor self-worth, poor self-esteem. Like, she feels slighted all the time. She feels like she wants to feel worthy of a romantic partner. And so essentially she wants to use the drug to transform herself and go beyond her limitations. And so DeGrazia then asks, is Marina's request morally problematic? Like, should a psychiatrist refuse to prescribe like Prozac in a situation like this? And is she still the same person afterwards?
Yeah.
Like, so he's asking, who is your authentic self?
Yeah.
And is it dependent on your physical body? And that's just like a cool thing to think about.
Yeah.
Like, Marina decides that her insecurities are not a core part of who she is, so she uses a type of technology to get rid of them. And so basically DeGrazia says that the self is not fixed and given to us, but that self-creation is part of what we do.
Wow.
You know?
I love that.
That's so cool, huh?
Yeah.
And I want to talk about somebody else. So in the 1950s, the term transhumanism got popular thanks to a guy named Julian Huxley, who was a British biologist and a humanist. And he noticed that a lot of people weren't living up to their full potential, like humans as a whole. And he believed in that we could use science, and he believed that if we used science and reason the right way, we could solve stuff like poverty and illness, you know?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. He described humanity's role as suddenly becoming the manager of evolution, whether we wanted the job or not, and that we're basically steering the future of evolution of Earth, whether we want to or like it or not.
Yeah.
And he said, according to him, the sooner we accept this and start working towards a better future, the better for everyone.
Exactly.
He was a leading figure in the popularization of evolutionary theory and a strong advocate for scientific progress and human betterment. He really wanted to make the world a better place, but he also believed in eugenics. And if you don't know what that means, is trying to improve the human race through selective breeding.
Ooh.
And even though many people like Huxley condemned the Nazis for how they did eugenics during the World War II, some still believe that it could have been a good idea if done correctly. He saw genetics as a tool that could be used to address poverty, disease, and inequality, and he believed that encouraging the reproduction of individuals with desirable traits and discouraging the reproduction of those with undesirable traits, society could gradually improve the genetic quality of the human population.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. His support for eugenics reflected a belief in the superiority of certain genetic traits and a willingness to intervene in human reproduction to promote these traits. This approach was criticized for its potential to lead to discrimination, coercion, and the violation of individual rights. Julian Huxley was the brother of Aldous Huxley, who is the author of Brave New World, which if you haven't read that, like I also haven't read that, it's basically a book about like a warning to all that advanced technology could take over and humans could lose their technology. That was the brother that wrote that. So that's kind of funny, huh?
Yeah, that's wild that his own brother wrote that.
I know. So who gets to decide what counts as enhancement and limitation? And I feel like ultimately it comes down to the self. Like there's so many like opinions in this field, there really are. And so I feel like only you can draw the line.
Yeah.
You know? And it's kind of like the internet. Like, you don't need the internet, but it would be really hard to exist without it, you know, like finding a job and stuff, literally anything, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like how some people think it's going to be. Like, nobody's going to force you to get a brain implant, but like, if that's how everybody pays for stuff, interacts, like if that's how you move through the world, it's going to be pretty hard if you don't have that.
Exactly.
You know? But nobody's going to be like holding a gun to your head and being like, get an implant, you know? Like, that's how some people think that it's going to be. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild. I feel like what's probably going to happen is, like, it'll just be the same as, like, BBLs, you know?
Yeah.
It'll be something that's, like, they'll probably have some that are, like, trending.
Yes.
That people will just do for the hell of it.
Exactly.
So everyone's going to have one.
Exactly. Especially if it's promoted by a celebrity, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. And then they'll probably have some that are, like, actually harmful.
Yeah.
Or not harmful, like, harm reduction. Pacemakers and shit.
Medical reasons, like medical
stuff, yeah.
Some people see technology as a neutral tool, like a hammer. Like, it's not good or bad, it just depends on the person. And I want to share a quote. It says, the philosopher Heather Widdows talks about how beauty technology and cosmetic surgery creates pressure to be a different kind of woman now than was possible 50 years ago. And God knows that as technology of medical transition has developed, it's opened up very different ways of being a transgender subject. Testosterone blockers, for example, are a kind of technology that just wasn't available to trans people 100 years ago, but which makes me at least happier, kinder, and more intelligent. We might say enhanced compared to what I was before, unless I miss a dose and then I wake up feeling like Venom. And that's a quote from her video, and she is so cool. You guys should check her out, like, seriously. She has I think she has a master's in philosophy, and she wants to make philosophy more accessible to people, so it's all free, you know, on her YouTube channel.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, she is so good at explaining stuff, like, and beautiful.
Hell yeah.
But she also gave two other examples that I want to touch on. Birth control, that's another type of technology. That's, you know?
Yeah.
That's something that was not available to people that could get pregnant, like, for a very long time. If you got pregnant back in the day, like, you had to figure it out. Like, you had to figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's such a privilege, you know? It's a privilege that is not available to everybody yet, but, like, that is a huge technology, you know? And then she also talks about the keyboard. Like, when you're typing, you're not thinking about the keyboard. It's kind of like like an extension of you. Like you're experiencing the technology through it, you know, like when you mess up and you have to like backspace or something, then you're thinking about the keyboard. But for the most part, you're thinking about the computer, the content. So, you know, so that is an example of technology becoming semi-transparent. And that's how technology provides a framework for action and being. Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
I love that. I love this. Like, I'm all for it. Like, I would do it.
Yeah, same.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry. I'm a transhumanist.
I'm sorry. And, like, I understand because it's, like, it's scary, you know, and, like, you know, but, like, come on. That's cool.
Yeah.
If it's like your choice and like, you know, it's the future. Things have changed, you know?
And also when you think about being like, when Celeste and I talk about being implanted, it's like you think that it's like a lot of them are not active. Like they're not like, they're just passive. Like they're in there, but it's not like it doesn't have a little antenna connecting to the internet. Like there's no like, unless the technology specifically is built into it, there's no way for them to track you because you need like tracking technology.
Yeah.
You know? So like it's a lot of it is fear mongering. I feel like a lot of it is people just being like, and we'll get into it. I mean, we won't get into it, but like we'll get into it later. Yeah.
I'm loving this.
Good. So
this
yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about biomedical technologies. Our friend Lena is in biomedical stuff. Biomedical technologies make it possible to replace the parts of human bodies that have lost their function. And I feel like I've said this like 8 times already in this video, but an example is like a pacemaker, a limb, you know, stuff like that. And it is possible to replace parts of the body while still being the same person. Jason Jones at Exobionics, him and his team design exoskeletons and artificial limbs.
Whoa.
And he says, our main purpose is to enhance human capability through robotics primarily, so either for medical purposes or for industrial purposes. I think you'll see more people being augmented by machines. The approach we're taking is instead of replacing people, let's make it so they can do more if they want to. They can work in their older age because they have enhancement. Their artificial limbs, the ones that they're working on, are so freaking cool and advanced. Like,
oh my gosh.
They're so cool. They're working with a veteran named John Matheny with a modular prosthetic limb that they created. And so they're studying the capabilities of the arm because he had a surgical procedure done that connects the arm to like his nervous system or something. And so they're able to map the arm and see like how, yeah, and it's crazy because you know how when people have prosthetics, you can't do this. You don't have like these, like theirs does. Like the interviewer that goes and talks to them, she is an amputee. And so she's able to try it on and she's like, she is just lured by like the motion. Like you can move your wrist, you can open your hands like this, you can feel things. Like I don't understand how this works, but you can feel things when you touch things. And that's something that she was like, that's crazy, because like I'm always scared of like crushing an egg or crushing a cup, you know, but to feel things like that is incredible. To be able to give people that, like, that is so cool. You know? Yeah.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. And I'll link that documentary below because if you're interested in this, you'll love what she goes over.
Yeah.
So yeah. One of the reasons that they designed these exoskeletons is to boost worker productivity, which I'm like, don't care about that. But also to decrease work-related injuries.
Oh.
So with this exoskeleton robot, you strap it around your arms, and then it's so cool because they feel virtually weightless. Like your arms feel weightless. Like you put them up and it doesn't feel like you're carrying anything, but it gives you like strength. So that way, think about that, like that's crazy. It makes you stronger. And think about people that are like mechanics and stuff that get tired. Like think about the possibilities that can open up for them, you know? Or people that get old that do want to work, you know?
Wow. That's incredible.
And they also designed these to help people that don't have function for certain parts of their bodies or have lost it. Beautiful, sophisticated technology that helps people walk again. Like this woman had a stroke and she lost the ability to walk, and I forgot what all else, but it was hard on her. With this technology and a physical therapist, like when she wears the exoskeleton, she's able to walk again on her own. Isn't that so beautiful? What? And they also designed an exoskeleton. I keep forgetting to do my makeup. And they also designed an exoskeleton for like that makes it so that you can backpack like and hold up to 200 pounds and feel like you're not even carrying anything.
Oh
like
my
pretty
gosh.
much. They also have these motors like on the shin part where if you're going uphill, it can give you a little boost so you can go more. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's incredible. Quote from him The guy. It says, I think in the future you'll see many people wearing assistive devices on a daily basis. I'm almost certain that those devices will be controlled at some level through interaction with the human's nervous system or their brain. So a lot of people think that it's going to be the nervous system, like, you know, like yeah.
I'm so curious to see what that will look like.
She also talks to Thad Starner. He's super cool. Like, there's a picture, pictures. That's stunning. You look like a baby. You know what this reminds me of? The Night Court.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Isn't that Night Court makeup?
Yes.
Oh, so look, this is the guy when he was younger. Like, look at him. He's kind of hot.
Yeah, he is.
Right?
That was when he was younger?
Yeah.
He's old now?
Yeah.
Oh.
He went to MIT and he basically designed this thing. So it's like he had a hard time taking notes, and he designed this little contraption where he connected basically a computer to his glasses. So he would carry around like a satchel and like a little handheld remote, and so it allowed him to take notes, and it had a little computer on one side. Look at this is him wearing it.
Oh my.
He ended up working on multiple models of these glasses, and he ended up working on the Google Glass. Yeah.
Oh my
Do you remember the
gosh.
Google Glass? A heads-up view, a display over one eye, so he was able to take notes in class. And in person to... This is so dorky, but he was like, in person-to-person conversations, I could take notes with... And like, normally you can't do that. And I'm just like...
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And the heads-up display overlays information within the user's field of vision, and the system, like the Google Glass, could be used to access apps on the internet. It could also augment your surroundings with information that only you can see.
Whoa.
So it was super cool. And according to another article, Dr. Babaz Parviz led the team to creating the Google Glass. So I think there's just a lot of people working on the project. Oh. And there was a lot of promise for this project, like with like, you know, the medical industry and journaling. And it was sold like early in 2013, and the last version of it was sold in 2019. It was ultimately discontinued for a variety of reasons. Number one, it was really expensive. Number two, there were privacy concerns, and just, yeah, people were like, I don't know. And it was also really weighted to the side, like, so it quickly was like just going to one side because of the computer.
Oh.
You know, but like I still think it's a super cool concept.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. And just like just thinking about what could happen. This is like a list of what could happen with technology. Like if we just, you know, so we could be in private contact with AI whenever we choose, and its abilities would become our own. So we'd be able to solve the most complex problems in existence in real time. We could run simulations accounting for trillions of factors at a time and generate predictions with like pinpoint accuracy.
Okay.
Our levels of intelligence would increase so much that it would be like we almost transcend into a different species. You know? Because we would have so much information just bloop.
Oh my god. So what you're saying is we are going to turn into aliens.
Oh my god, yes.
That's wild.
That's exactly what I'm saying. We could reverse aging with genetic engineering and nanotechnology, so we could potentially live for hundreds of years.
Whoa.
We could have synthetic limbs and organs that are like bionic, so bionic arms that would allow us to like punch through walls, and like synthetic lungs that could allow us to hold our breath underwater for hours at a time, or bionic legs that would help us run like we were in the Olympics. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And telepathic communication could become mainstream. So brain-computer interfaces may enable like mind-to-mind communication at some point in the future. Humans may be able to efficiently communicate without having to do anything besides think. We could have enhanced senses, like, you know, bionic eyes that could help us see extremely far, or like infrared or through walls. Like the possibilities are infinite. We could revive people back from the dead with like cryogenetics, brain preservation, advanced life support systems.
Wow.
We could upload our minds to new bodies by combining AI and neuroscience. So this would open up different possibilities for like consciousness and existence. Some people may even prefer a robot in synthetic bodies. And that's especially in cases where the biological bodies are too old, or they have disabilities and stuff, you know, like that's crazy. Yeah. So that's a lot.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Some transhumanists believe technology could solve major problems, like major world problems. And yes, 1,000%. But the thing is, we have already renewable energy, like wind energy. We have enough resources to feed everybody. Nature feeds us and heals a lot of ailments. And if we had funding, we could find the rest of the, you know, the things. So I wonder why we haven't done that already. I wonder who is benefiting from not solving world hunger and giving people their basic rights. I wonder why solving world problems seems more doable with this intricate technology versus just what we already have. And let's say we did get some crazy technology like this. Like, who would get access to it? Like, who would get to use it? Because
exactly.
Enhancement technology should be available to everybody, but just saying that doesn't mean that it actually would. Like, for example, we could give people robotic limbs that they could control with their brains, so that would make it so that, like, disabled people could walk or stop tremors or, you know, like, infinite possibilities. But Abigail Thorne, she makes a great point. This is a quote from her. Some philosophers of disability have pointed out that disability is not just a physical limitation, it's an economic one too. Disabled is a position that you occupy within the economy relative to things like employment and housing. So overcoming that limitation isn't just about transforming the body. Which is a great point.
Yeah.
There's also the question of morality. Like, are cyborgs beings that, like, deserve respect, like, as our equal? Are they beings that we can hold responsible to their actions, or are they a machine that we can use as we please, a device without, like, feelings or responsibilities? And will there come a time when we will no longer regard a human being full of implants and prosthetics, like, as a human being? And should we treat someone made partly of steel any differently?
Yeah.
Like, obviously to me, no. Like, don't be dumb.
Yeah.
And technology can mediate and influence our body experience and thus our identity, because people can incorporate different types of prostheses into their body schema. And the technology becomes a part of who they are, and like physically and emotionally, psychologically. So this opens up the possibility for new human experiences.
Yeah.
And like, because we can view the body as a thing, whereas a machine, we can replace parts of it without immediately losing our humanity. But because we always are our body, the cyborg does create opportunities for new experiences with being human.
Yeah, exactly.
And some people think that robots do have the capability for creating their own culture, and that we could study it through, like, integrating ourselves into it. But other people believe that no, that culture is specific to living creatures and that ethnography is limited to human subjects. So, okay. When I was looking up transhumanism, like the opposing side of transhumanism, I learned about posthumanism, and it rejects the idea that humans are unique creatures and that humans are the center of the world, and that we have the right to control the natural world. It rejects that. Posthumanism says that technology will decenter the human in anthropology, but some people say that perspective ignores the discipline's long history of engaging with the unhuman, so like spirits and demons that humans believe in, you know?
Yeah.
Most of the arguments that I found against transhumanism are they're either like really religious or conspiracy theory based. And just in general, like when I was looking for podcasts about transhumanism, like as a whole, a lot of podcasts came up of people feeling that it's like end of day vibes, like very like evil and stuff.
Like
and
apocalyptic.
Like conspiracy theories. And the thing is, it's rooted in fear and not fact. Like, I understand your fear and that's an emotion, but what about the facts? You know, like, what about the facts? A lot of it just felt like shower thoughts that never should have made it out of the shower. You know?
Yeah.
Some people say that like the human experience is all part of the human experience. That like it's not our job to do that. It's our job to be a human and overcome struggles and have challenges and breakthroughs and stuff. That like to go against that is to go against God, because it's so unnatural, which I completely understand and respect. But I was still like I was still looking for a reason. I was like, but you know.
Yeah.
And so I found a quote, and it's by Saul Williams, and he says, "When we look at modern devices, as long as they are dependent on those unnamed workforces in the Congo, as long as they are dependent on these resources, I am not impressed with that as technology, because technology is supposed to move us forward, not continue some analog exploitation that has gone on ever since." And he's damn right.
Yeah.
I was like, yup. And me personally, I really do see a utopia where like technology and humans coexist, where nobody is exploited, not animals, not humans, you know? Like, I really do believe in the goodness and the innovation of humankind. And like, I see it, I believe it. And a good friend once told me that like, we're constantly looking for the blueprint of how things should be, but nature already gave it to us. So at the very least, if there is a robot takeover, just always be nice to ChatGPT.
Literally.
And I gotta do my makeup because I didn't do it at all, so I'll be right back.
That's so cool. It's like cyberpunk is like if the scary like realities of what's happening right now were to come true, you know, like if corporations stayed in power.
Yeah.
But I see it the same way. I feel like there is a better future, a utopia that's out there. And like, that's just so beautiful.
I think so too. Oh, we're back.
Hello.
This is our cool cyborg makeup. We had a lot of fun with it, obviously. And thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
If you liked it, you can love it by subscribing to us, liking it, commenting, sharing it to your mother. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.